Look it outside real quick and then we'll start this video. Look at this. So yeah, I'd say flood insurance is pretty important. You do not want to get caught with your home flooding without flood insurance. That could be an absolute nightmare. Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is gonna be absolutely bonkers. Now, the data is in, and FEMA insurance policies right now have absolutely exploded as far as what the annual premiums are. Now, if you live in a flood zone like I live in a flood area, you're gonna need a brace for impact because the policies are going up in certain areas, hundreds of percentages. And what that will do in turn, y'all, is put additional pressure on sellers and force certain people to have to sell their properties because they can no longer afford to live there. Before we really dig in to see the impacts and just how much these premiums went up, first, let me issue you guys some really important warnings about how flood insurance actually works. Now, keep in mind, a lender, when you get a mortgage, a lender will not require that you get flood insurance if the property is not located in a flood zone. So it's really important that if you're in an area that floods, even if the subject property that you're purchasing has never flooded before, if you're in a general area, it may be a good idea to get flood insurance, because if you don't have flood insurance when your home floods, normally your existing home insurance policy does not cover flood damage. So a lot of the people that got hit in Hurricane Ian that didn't have FEMA flood insurance didn't have the opportunity to fix their houses. And it's really important that that does not happen to you. So understand, typically normal homeowners insurance policies do not come with flood insurance. And also understand that a lender will generally not require you to get flood insurance if the property is not in a flood zone. So towards the end of this video, I'm going to show you guys the FEMA flood maps and how to use it. So I'll put the link in the description. So if you guys want to access that link to determine whether or not the area you're interested in purchasing in is in a flood zone or not. Because the reality is this, guys, and I'm going to get started here in a minute. A lot of the times, in my opinion, it's a waste of money to purchase a flood home, because some of the insurance policies can raise your monthly payment by $600, $700, or $800. So to me, I would just rather buy a more expensive house if I'm going to pay an extra $500, $600 that's not in the flood zone. And that's why personally, I don't think purchasing homes in flood zones is really a good idea. And also, y'all, floods are happening more and more. Floods happening seems to be a regular occurrence. The whole 1 in 500 years or 1 in 100 year flood zone, it seems out of the bag. I've had like 3 floods in a once in 100 year flood zone. How do you explain that, right? But either way, guys, we're going to take a look at this massive impact and massive increase in flood insurance, digging into an article from Miami Herald that's going to really explain what's going on with the flood insurance premium. And as always, guys, this will be linked in my description for you guys to access on your own time. Now, the name of this article is Flood Insurance Costs Will Soar in Florida. See the expected increases in your zip code. So this is going to be a really good map, really good article, especially if you're in the state of Florida. But I do want to make this clear. I'm in Texas and my FEMA flood insurance has gone up, and I insure all of my properties in Texas that I have ever owned, because flood zones change all the time. And that's what I'm really trying to tell you guys. Flood zones change all the time. So don't get caught with your pants down. So this is going to go into some really hefty costs here. Now brace for a few years of flood insurance rate hikes, South Florida, and they're going to be steep, doubling, even tripling for thousands of homeowners. So in the face of unaffordability, in the face of skyrocketing homeowner insurance, home ownership costs, we're going to add another one to that mix in the form of flood insurance. Now, FEMA has changed the way it calculates flood insurance prices. Instead of relying on old flood zone maps covering broad areas, it's now basing premium prices on a wider range of factors, like individual properties' distance from the ocean, rainfall levels, and the cost to rebuild a home. And I'm already thinking, like, why wasn't that included in the first place? Last month, for the first time, FEMA shared estimates for what that will mean for the average flood insurance premium by zip code. For the worst hit zip code in South Florida, 33469, a stretch of coastal Palm Beach County that covers parts of Jupiter will have a 342% premium increase on average, y'all. Again, a 342% premium increase on flood insurance. Yikes to anyone that lives on a coastal city, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, Florida, because our flood insurance, y'all, is about to skyrocket. Now, the good news is it's not going to skyrocket overnight. There's a cap on this. We'll get into that a little bit more. And this is going to explain how that works. So if you already have a flood insurance policy, it's not going to go up 342% the first year. So let's take a look. Some important qualifiers. The premium hikes won't hit all at once for existing, this is important, only for existing policy holders, and not everyone will see an increase. FEMA estimates that about 20% of Florida policymakers will actually see their premiums drop under the new pricing regime known as Risk Rating 2.0. So congratulations to 20% of the Floridans. Your premium is going to go down, but unfortunately for the other 80%, your premiums are going to go up, and some people, they're going to go up a crazy amount of money. And obviously in Florida, what do we have? A lot of speculation, a lot of second homes, vacation homes. So hopefully those people will start selling those houses and give us more of much needed inventory. Now, for those with current federal flood policies, the good news is that the rate won't immediately skyrocket. Oh, that's great news, right? It's only going to skyrocket a little bit. Congress has capped price hikes at 18% per year. So that's the good news. If you have an existing flood insurance policy, you're going to be capped at 18% per year. Okay. And that's going to go up every single year. Keep in mind, but it is capped. So you're not going to go, 342% higher. You have intervals of 18%. The bad news is you might see that flood insurance premiums go up 18% every year for several years until it reaches the new Risk Rating 2.0 calculations for your home. If you're buying a new flood insurance policy, however, you're going to get hit with a new premium all at once. So it's really important, y'all. It's only protecting the people that have current policies. That's that 18% cap. It's only good if you already have it. FEMA says the new premiums reflect the reality of Florida's increasing flood risk as people continue. Why? People continue to build homes in flood-prone areas. Climate change rises sea levels and makes rain bomb events. So basically they're saying that these rain bombs, these 100-year floods are actually happening a lot more regularly. The agency also argues that the new premium regime is more fair, except again for the other 80% of people. Am I right? The new methodology allows to spread out premiums across all policyholders based on the value of their home and unique flood risk of their property. But again, they're already doing that. So to me, they're just raising the prices, right? They already do that. And I'm going to show you guys the map here in a second. Currently, many policyholders with lower value homes are paying more than they should, and policyholders with high value homes are paying less than they should. In whose opinion? The insurance company's opinion, right? It's already astronomical. Flood insurance in Florida is already skyrocketing. It's already skyrocketing. It's already a horrible crisis right now. Now, mortgage lenders and banks often require that home and property owners get federal flood insurance. Although Florida has the highest number of policies in the country, roughly, this is insane, 4 out of 5 homes, or 80% of homes, are covered with flood insurance in Florida. That is remarkable. And again, here's the important thing to understand. The mortgage lenders will not require it unless the home is in a flood zone. So don't automatically think if you're not in a flood zone that you're safe. A lot of people have made that mistake. I have personally seen it here in Texas through Hurricane Harvey. A lot of people got blindsided from Hurricane Harvey. Don't let it happen to you. The number of Florida flood insurance policies is likely to rise. This year, Florida lawmakers passed a bill requiring anyone, this is crazy, with hurricane and wind policies from Citizens Insurance to also get flood insurance. So they're requiring that. That is absolutely crazy, but it's actually a good thing because you don't want to get swept up in a flood without proper flood coverage. This is a huge, huge investment. Now, this affects 1.2 million citizen policyholders in the state. So Florida, a lot of changes right now with insurance in Florida. We've been seeing that a lot, actually. Now, take a look at this, y'all. Here's basically the percentage of changes, right? So this is going to tell us the percentage of changes from 0 to 342. Basically, the darker blue an area is, the more it's going up. So if we go to the top here, we can see this zip code right here is going from a, listen guys, this is insane. It's going from a current cost of $780 to almost $3,500. I call that payment shock. Okay, that's payment shock. So anyone on a fixed income, this is going to cripple. This is absolutely going to cripple. Let's keep going, okay? Another zip code going from $700 to $1,700. Let's go down to, okay, this area is going from $950 to $3,100. Significant changes, y'all. And when I scroll down here to this zip code, 33170, y'all, this is going, okay, listen, $560 current cost to $2,100. What impact do y'all think that's going to have on homeowners that can barely afford to get by? It doesn't matter when they bought. Say they bought, in 2018. What if they are on a fixed income and are living paycheck to paycheck, and now they just got blindsided with an additional expense that can cost them thousands and thousands of dollars? What impact do y'all think that's going to have? It's going to make it impossible to own a home for many people. Not all people, but many people. And if we look here, essentially the entire coastline here, y'all, the entire coastline, massive hits, right? Massive hits. And even inland going from $599 to $1,400. So if y'all are in Florida, this is really, really bad. Even in Texas, even in places where I'm at, this is super bad. This is not good for us at all. Nowhere on here is it really showing that it's going down. At least I can't find it. So pretty much everyone on the East Coast, Florida right now is getting bamboozled with additional expenses for insurance. And if we look here at Manatee County zip codes with the biggest flood insurance premium hikes, this is what we're saying. Now in Cortez, y'all, price change of $3,400, an increase of 233%. How do you justify that? You have to be rich to be able to handle this. A $3,400 price change, out of control. Look at this, Longboat Key, 200% increase for a difference of $4,700. Guess what, guys? School loans haven't even started. Is everything okay with the housing market? I don't think so. The housing market right now is absolutely broken, and people are saying it's rebounding. It's too late. You missed your opportunity. But the reality is these things always happen, okay? If this is a type of dead cat bounce. The same thing happened in 2006 and 2009, and I could prove that with Case Shiller reports, y'all. Don't get sucked into the narrative that you're perfectly safe buying a house. If you're going to buy a house right now, have the proper expectations. You're probably going to be stuck in your house for 10, maybe even 15 years without equity growth. So if you're comfortable with that, by all means, go out there and buy a house. But what I'm saying is right now, I'm going to pause. And I explain why I'm going to pause and I'm going to hold. But anyway, going back to this, look at this, y'all. Anna Marie. Okay, Anna Marie, increase of 175% for a total increase, $3,600. Absolutely shocking. Now, here's the biggest increases overall in Florida. Now, this is South Florida zip codes, again, with the highest average flood insurance premium. You guys, Miami, unbelievable. That zip code in Miami, flood insurance premium, $7,000. Y'all go ahead and buy in Miami. Everything going up. So every expense, almost every single expense, is skyrocketing. And the reason that is, y'all, our economy and our housing market right now is broken, and it has not properly adjusted or reset from the COVID era, from the money printing. And now, y'all, things are only getting worse. Things are only getting worse. And look at this Monroe, double Monroe zip code, $6,000. Another Monroe, $6,000, $5,600. Look at all of these Miami zip codes. An average of $5,000. This is insane. These places, Monroe, Miami, are getting hit in ways that are absolutely shocking. Okay, again, payment shock. If you're filthy rich, you may not feel it, but most of society, most of America, including myself, we're not rich. We feel these changes directly. And you can kind of see this area right here, kind of the Miami area, Kendall area, and really the impacts. And I showed you guys here this zip code 33170. I mean, it goes from $500 to $2,200. That's brutal, you guys. Absolutely brutal. This one here goes from $2,000 to $5,000. How are we not paying a tax? And this is a Fort Lauderdale area, y'all. Fort Lauderdale, again, same with Miami, is absolutely getting rocked by the FEMA changes. Let's look at this zip code. So this zip code is going, okay, an insurance cost, a FEMA insurance cost of $1,000 to $3,400. So here's the thing, you guys, if you're shopping in these areas, you may want to get with your loan officer, because what just happened right now is your debt to income ratio, which is a qualifying tool for your loan, has just gone up. Why has it just gone up? Because your flood insurance is now $2,400 higher per year if you live in that zip code, which amounts to what? $200 more a month. So you're going to be paying $200 more a month. So you're going to want to pay attention to flood insurance, y'all, because that is a huge expense in these areas. Now, if you're looking in an area and if you're worried that it might be in a flood zone, a couple of things you want to do is you get with your realtor, make sure your realtor finds out whether or not it's in a flood zone. And also, if you're working with a loan officer or a processor, an underwriter, whoever's working on your file is going to order something called a flood certification. Okay. They're basically going to run a report on a specific address to determine exactly whether or not it's in a flood zone. So those are all things that kind of keep you safe. But another thing you guys can do on your own, you can actually go to FEMA and go to their flood risk maps. It will be linked in my description. Let me give you guys an idea of what that looks like. So when you come here, basically it's going to look like this. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, the entire United States is in a flood zone. But what you guys do is you come up here and you put in an address, and I just put in a random address here in Spring, Texas. So when you put in your address, you hit search, all right? And it's going to take you to the exact address. And you guys see how everything's green here? There's no like X's or anything like this. This is telling us that this home is not in a flood zone. Okay. So that's how that works. But when I zoom out here, you can kind of see that, okay, there's a little bit of flood zones going on here. There's a little zone AE right here. And if I scroll out even more, you can see when I scroll out even more that this house is kind of surrounded by flood zone. And I'll tell you guys, a lot of these flood zones were actually new flood zones created by Hurricane Harvey. So you guys can see that. So if I was in a property over here in this area to the right here, you guys can see, then I would be in a flood zone and my payment would be a lot more. But not only would my payment be a lot more, I would also be at risk of losing everything. So when all is said and done, right now, everyone is losing. If you're rich, you're losing. If you're a homeowner, you're losing. If you don't own a home, you're losing. Everyone is losing right now. It's absolutely insane. And what I'm doing right now, you guys, is I'm trying to stay ahead of everything. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. And I'm increasing my purchasing power to the best of my ability as I'm waiting out this housing market. And one of the primary reasons I'm waiting out this housing market is there's just too much dust in the air. There's too much dust in the air. There are so many things that appear to be happening at the same time. I think everything's going to hit all at once. And the biggest thing, y'all, the biggest piece of this puzzle that I believe is unemployment. If unemployment gets out of control, like I believe it's going to get out of control, we're doomed. The entire economy and the housing market is doomed. The fear of missing out will go over to the sellers, and the housing market will start shifting once again and again. I think we're going through a type of dead cat bounce right now. But either way, you guys, this is what's going on with insurance. It's absolutely wrecking people, especially if you're on a fixed income. So in other words, tread lightly and make sure you guys do enough due diligence to determine whether or not your home is actually in a flood zone. Now, other than that, guys, I really appreciate you following along with me. And if you're out there investing in real estate, you know I wish you luck and I hope you win.